Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Yakar coming at you with some quick edification through the Spirit. And the topic of what I want to go into today is don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of this truth. Don't be ashamed to represent who you are. Don't be ashamed to edify. Don't be ashamed to teach. Don't be ashamed in all aspects when it comes to this truth. Don't be ashamed of who you hang around in righteousness. Don't be ashamed to proclaim the name of the Lord, especially to our people that don't know. We should never be ashamed or feel unconfident in ourselves or guilty or anything when it comes to proclaiming the words to the Most High and living in the ways that we were always meant to live in. Because we have to remember, we're not of this world. We come of a different nature. We do things that the world may seem as kind of foolish and weird, but these are our customs. In retrospect, the world does things that's foolish and weird, and we're the wise ones. That's how it's always been, and that's how it should always be moving forward, right? So the topic of this video, again, is don't be ashamed. I'm going to kick it off with the book of Titus, chapter 2 and verse 15. Right? Titus 2 and 15. It says,
to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home.
It's a lot. It says, I'm going to start at verse 14. I'm going to start at verse 12, actually. Yeah, I'm going to start at verse 12. I'm going to start at verse 11. It's a lot. It says, for the grace of God that bringeth salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. And that's actually a commandment, if you did not know. Let me turn on light mode. That's actually a commandment. It's a lot, so you can see better. Right? It says, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. Right? Key words in this present world is telling us how we should live, denying ungodliness. Right? I have a lot of people, let's say, I'm going to give an example at my workplace, and they're all about horoscopes. That's literally all they talk about. Horoscopes. So I'm a Gemini, and I'm a Aries rising, and my moon is this. And I was telling brothers, there's this sister. She pulled out a bag of rocks and stones out of her purse, and she was going talking about the stones and crystals that she carries and the different energies and vibrations it gives off, and and that's foolishness. It says that's ungodly. That's idolatry. That's breaking a plethora of commandments, right? In a sense, that's also witchcraft. It says denying ungodliness and worldly lust, right? Worldly lust, that could be chasing the things of this world, whether it's riches, women of this world. These are worldly lusts, things that people of a worldly mindset, things that they seek. We supposed to seek the things that are spiritual, salvation, right? Understanding and keeping of the laws, bringing our people home, having our people to turn back to the ways of the Most High, right? We're not supposed to seek after worldly lusts, things that are out of the spirit, things that are contrary to the doctrine which we've been taught, right? The doctrine of the Most High, right? Which is really the truth. It says we should live soberly, righteously, and godly. This world is full of plenty of ungodly distractions, right? So when we walk boldly, with our fringes on, when we walk boldly, and confidently and uprightly in righteousness, it's different. You feel different. People look at you different, and that's a good thing because we're living soberly and righteously and godly in this present world. It says looking for that blessed hope. It's like looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great God and our Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach, which is Jesus Christ in the Hebrew. So that's what we look for. We're not looking for 12 more years and a 401k and are looking forward to our retirement plan in this world. We're supposed to be looking, our salvation, that's our retirement plan. We're supposed to be looking for salvation, everlasting rest and peace on earth. It says, especially for the Israelites, it says, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. right? And we should be zealous of doing well. That's why I wanted to start at this verse, because it says zealous of good works, right? When you have a zeal, that means you're fervent to do something. That means it's like the world stops because you want to accomplish, what you want, that thing that you're zealous for, for lack of better words. It says, these things speak and exhort and rebuke with all authority. Let no man despise thee, right? Let no man, allow you to think, well, this is kind of weird. These fringes, they kind of dangle. They kind of feel weird. They kind of look weird. People look at me weird. Who cares? At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how the Most High, thinks of you. That's the only opinion that matters, right? Nobody should ever make you feel like you're incompetent, you're not good enough. Nobody should ever make you feel ashamed of this truth, right? So I'm gonna get the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 8. And that goes for many things, whether it be, old friends who used to hang out with, and they see you, posting on Instagram, edification, and, you living godly and you're into the Bible, and now, they in your DMs, they talking all kind of crazy to you. You got to let some people go sometimes. If they're not for the word, or if they're not trying to hear it, and you're constantly going back and forth trying to edify them and bring them into this thing, it comes to a point where, you just got to just pray for them, but also, just love them from a distance, because you don't want that spirit to hop on you. You don't want, a spirit of regret, or a spirit, just to turn back to the world, to hop back on you. The scriptures say, remember Lot's wife, how she turned back and she got destroyed. Spiritually, we can't turn back or take our hand off the plow and turn back to the ways of the world, doing the things that we used to do. But this is 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 8. It says, be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Lord, nor of me his prisoner, but be thou partaker of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of God, right? And being a part of the afflictions, that means you're, getting talked about, maybe, your family, it might be Thanksgiving, and you don't celebrate, but instead you're going to fast, and now your family is talking about you the whole, all throughout so-called Esau's holidays, right? That's being a partaker of the afflictions, right? Being distant from your family, being distant from your friends, because they don't want to do the things that are written in the Bible. Sometimes you just have to set yourself apart, or, as the scriptures say, be set apart, and, focus on your spirit. How are you doing through the spirit? Are you elevating through the spirit? Are you growing in the truth? Are you growing in wisdom and knowledge and understanding, right? Because a lot of times, we might think, or a lot of times we believe, or I'll say this, a lot of times, our people are prone to hop on the bandwagon, doing things that, most popular, what's trending right now, hopping on those things. But, the Lord said we don't have to do that. That's vanity. That's worldly. We're not supposed to do those things and partake in the cares of this world, right? So when we, neglect to do those things, then, a lot of people, they see it as, what's wrong with him? Or he thinks he's too good. This sister thinks she's too good. When really, this is all the commandments of the Lord, right? It says, who hath saved us and called us with a holy calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in Hamashiach Yahushai before the world began. Salakia. So the Lord had called us. He predestined our thoughts and our the spirit that he put within us, right? So this is all the Lord's work and all the Lord is doing. I'm gonna get the book of Psalms, and this is just some quick edification through the spirit. Lord willing, it's upliftment for those that may be prone to peer pressure, or it's kind of wavering, because the Lord said, we can't be lukewarm. We can't proclaim to serve the Most High, but then be ashamed to do his works, and only doing his works in secret. You only got on fringes when you're at home, walking around the house. You never go out in public with your fringes on, or you don't, you don't do the things that you're supposed to in public. You only do those things at home. We can't do that. We can't be lukewarm. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, I'm going to start at verse 46. It says, I'm going to start at verse 44. It says, so shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever, and I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. And that's what we seek. And the precepts, that's the commandments. We seek the commandments of the Most High, right? We go, here a little and there a little, seeking how we can better ourselves and better our spirit through the Most High. It says, verse 46, and I will speak of thy testimonies also before kings and will not be ashamed. I will speak of the things, I will speak of the things that the Most High have done for me. I will speak of the things that the Most High have done for my people, proclaiming, who we are in front of the Gentiles, proclaiming who we are in front of Israel that don't know who they are, right? It says, and I will delight myself and I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved, right? My hands also will I lift up unto thy commandments, which I have loved, and will meditate in thy statutes. And that's a big thing too, meditating in the Most High statutes, so that we can be confident. A lot of times when I meditate, it brings about a lot of confidence, knowing that, I'm not just in this truth for no reason. The Most High didn't call me for no reason. There's a reason and a purpose to all things, right? So meditation is also important as well, right? But King David, he said that he will remember and delight himself in the commandments of the Most High. And that's the same spirit that we have to walk in, being delighted to keep the dietary law, being delighted to keep the ceremonial laws, and the feast days and the things that the world, refuses to do. Being delighted to be set apart, because this is what makes us set apart ultimately, is the keeping of the law, like it tell you in Romans, the 9th chapter. I'm gonna get that real quick. These are the things that make us different from the rest of the world. Book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 4. It says, and this is the classic, everybody knows this. It says, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So these are things that pertain to the Israelites. These are the things that belong to the Israelites. The adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises, right? So all these things pertain to us and us only, right? We were given the adoption, coming back into the fold, and the glory and the covenants, right? And the giving of the law and the service of God. And that's a big thing. And the promises. So we can't be ashamed, because we were the ones who was given these beautiful things in the first place. And it was only made for us. The world was literally made for our sakes. So we can't be ashamed of the things that the Most High has told us to do, right? Even I know a lot of times when it comes to even the workplace, there's certain restrictions that, our jobs put upon us. When it comes to certain things, but sometimes you just got to let them know, I can't come in Friday night. I can't work Friday night. I can't work Saturday. Things of that nature. We have to keep the commandments. And the Most High, he always makes a way around things. Don't just think the Most High, oh, you just got to figure it out for yourself. No, the Most High, he always makes a way around things. And if you don't get, the job, so be it. There's plenty of other jobs. There's plenty of other opportunities that the Most High will give you. You just have to go through that test and be proven first. The Most High always proves us before he to see if we're worthy of inheriting the things that he's offering us. The Most High, he's not just going to let anybody, take of his promises and his services, right? You have to be proven first. And the way you be proven is you have to show that you're worthy and that you delight in the commandments of the Most High, right? And that's in Deuteronomy chapter 5 and verse 9. But 5 and 29, it's a lot. But I'm going to get Matthew 10 and 32, and then I'm going to close out. It reads, and this is a real valuable chapter, I encourage everybody to read this chapter as well. But it says, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Right? So these are These are vital things to meditate upon. Confessing the Lord before our people. Showing who we are before our people. Not just going through the motions and you living life day to day and you just ready to get out of captivity. But you gotta put in the works. And I'm speaking to the men and the women as well. The women know their duty. The men know their duty, right? But ultimately, we have to continue to do the works and not be ashamed, right? And I actually have this the etymology for the word shame pulled up. I meant to get this earlier, but the Spirit had led me to go through the scriptures first. So the word shame in the etymology, it means feeling of guilt or disgrace, confusion caused by shame, disgrace, dishonor, yada yada, etc., etc. It says loss of esteem or reputation, right? So take these things into consideration, right? Do you feel shame when you keep the commandments, when you do things of our fashion and not of the world's? When you leave the world behind, do you feel guilty? Do you feel shame? Do you feel disgraced? Right? Really meditate upon these things. How can I improve through the Spirit? How can I, feel confident? In the Most High. How can I feel confident and not ashamed, man? Doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing anyway, and not partaking into the cares and luxuries of this world. Right. So with that, I'm gonna close out. This has been Brother Yakal. Lord willing, this was edifying. And this would be used for edification's sake only, and not for any manner of folly or the entertainment of demons. And with that, I bid you all a shalom.